Our movie begins with a girl who is locked in a fizz box in the bathroom and she sees an evil man named Sebastian dragging a woman named Isabel on the floor and putting her in the bathtub and drowning her. And she will be holding the sizzling in the chest until it falls and breaks, so Sebastian pulls her from her leg and takes her and puts her inside the bathtub. And he tries with all his might to drown her, so the girl takes out her hands and looks for anything on the ground to defend herself. And she holds a piece of rice and hits him in the back with it. Then she takes control of him and drowns him in the bathtub. But suddenly she finds that he has disappeared and that he has no family left, and her fear increases even more, and she keeps looking for him in a crazy way, because she is afraid that he will come again and comfort her. And then we see a girl named Madison with her friend. Here at a party, you surprise her here, and you show her her engagement ring. And you take her away from the party to talk to her, and they are standing near the lake, and you are talking to her here and telling her that she is getting married soon and that she chose it to be her job. Madison rejoices and blesses her. And you walk here to go to the bathroom. Suddenly, Madison steps on a straw. Without thinking, she falls on her head, loses consciousness, loses her balance, falls in the lake, and sees herself in a bathtub, and a scary monster comes towards her and wants to drown her. After a year, it will be a day of joy here. But Madison doesn't leave her because it's going to be very rainy today. She prefers to sit in her room, afraid and convoy on herself. Because one day she was going to drown in the lake and see the monster stay with her. Severe phobia of water, and she is afraid that he will bloom for her again, and here it is connected to it more than 24 times. Don't reply. Suddenly, her friend enters her here while she is wearing a wedding dress. And you blame her that she didn't come and tell her that she has to get over what she's in, and act like a normal human being, because a lot of time, and that all that she sees are illusions. No one wanted to kill her as she thought, and you convince her here, if the rain came out, I would and need it, and you tell her that she must appreciate that she left her joy and came to her, because she doesn't know how to be happy without others. Madison apologizes to her and becomes very nervous and scared, focused on the sound of rain and the water on the ground, but suddenly she sees the scary monster that blooms behind her, so she gets scared and quickly hides her face. And when you look again, you find that he has disappeared, and you decide here that she is walking and ask her to come. She comes home at 8 o'clock in the morning, and in the morning you take a sedative injection. Sandy calls her friend and blames her for what she did to Hannah, and she tells her that she insulted her fiancé because he bullied her in her fear, and then you can't accept anyway, and she decided that she would be happy and leave her fiancé and go to her, and they both get ready and go home here, the one who will gather the rest of their friends, and with them a new girl named Catherine. And those who are close to their friend Kobe. And Catherine introduces them herself. And she confronts her and tells her that she can help her because she knows how to communicate with the other world from which someone blossoms to comfort her. And when she feels anxious, she reassures her here and tells her that the matter is simple, and they are all gathered to help her because they love her. Here, she asks Cater to talk to her for a minute alone, and you warn her that she doesn't exaggerate the matter so that she doesn't increase Madison feared more, and it will be clear that they agree with her to entertain Madison that she knows how to communicate with the other world and convince her that what she sees is just an illusion and not real, so that they can bring her back to her life and come back again and take her to the bathroom and prepare the bathtub for her. And as soon as you get nervous and afraid, but they convince her to enter with them so that they insult her because if she goes down in the percentage, nothing will happen to her, and they all sit and hold each other's hands, and she begins to pretend that she is communicating with the other world, and you ask them that if there is an evil spirit that wants to give them any sign, and they are very fond of candles in the bathroom. Suddenly, the first candle goes out, so they convince themselves that the air is the one who extinguished it, and you pass me. And all the candles are extinguished, it darkens, so you fear and stay away from the circle. Those who treat her and tell her that she feels that he is with them, so they guide her and convince her that this was just a trick from them and that there is nothing, and she tells her here that this is her only chance to overcome her fear and they are with her. Because after that they will not be there and their owners convince her what will happen to her, and the four girls stand and clasp their hands in each other's hands, and she goes down to the water while she is supporting her body on their hands, and as soon as they feel that she is finished, she is reassured, they pull their hands quietly and let her go, and suddenly they meet the daughters of their friend Madison, who is pulling under and screaming, and they get very nervous and find that she is drowning, so she decides here that she acts quickly and breaks the bathtub because she spills all the water in it, and they really purge her and take her out, and as soon as she regains consciousness, she quickly moves away from the water, and her owners guide her out of the terror she feels, and at the moment she screams in frustration and tells them that she saw a scary monster in the mirror, but they don't believe her and think that she is still going on with the entertainment they are doing, and then Madison decides that she goes to a psychiatrist and tells her what is happening with her, so she tells her that fear makes a person go into seizures, like what happens to her, which prepares her for the things she needs. He is afraid of her, and she diagnoses that she has a phobia or a phobia, and she may get rid of her with time. When she feels that she is not convinced of what is happening to her, she decides to leave her and walk and returns home. She searches on the internet and reads about what is happening with her, and she finds an article written about a person named Sebastian who drowns girls and gets rid of them, and you see a comment by someone named in it. He says that his daughter was one of Sebastian's victims years ago, and he writes his phone number, so she decides to contact him and go to him. She reads in books and tries to find any information about the monster she saw in the mirror, and suddenly she hears a sound in the bathroom, and when she enters, she finds the washing machine working on its own, so she is surprised and goes to unplug the electricity, and suddenly she finds her chain that fell inside the washing machine, so she stretches out her hands to get it. And at this moment a hand comes out of the washing machine and pulls it, so she screams and turns away from her until she falls on the ground and gets out of the bathroom quickly. She is afraid, and at that time she goes here and apologizes to her because she was lying to her all the time and tells her that now she believes her and wants to be with her and help her, so she takes her with her while she is going to Geeko. There, they meet that he is an old man, and she asks him about Sebastian, telling him that he always blooms in her dreams, so he gets scared and asks them to walk because he doesn't know anything. And he tells them that he spent years trying to find out information about him. After she built it, I killed and showed him that he was afraid, so she is determined to know any information from him. Then they have a box with all the information they need to know about them, so they take it and leave. On the way, you sleep in Arabic, and you dream of him drowning the girls. Then she wakes up terrified, and you guide her here, and they continue on their way. On the other side, Sandy, their friend, is sitting alone, playing sports, resting, drinking water, feeling that she can't take herself, coughing, putting the water she drank back on the table, and suddenly her mobile phone, which is connected to the headphone wire, disappears, and the end of the wire sticks to the water that fell, and he starts pulling her towards him and choking her, and suddenly Sebastian's hand blooms from her water, and he keeps dragging her body inside the table until she disappears from the room. And when Sandy excels, she finds herself in a dark room with a bathtub full of water inside. When she gets out of it, she sees her mobile phone lying on the ground. She takes it and finds that she knows how to communicate with anyone. Suddenly, Sebastian blooms for her, locks her inside the box, fills it with water, and locks her up until she suffocates and dies. And then Catherine decides to go to Kobe after I called her a lot and she didn't answer her, and Catherine tells her what happened to her in the bathroom. And as usual, Kobe doesn't believe her, and you ask her to keep her and her friends away from her. And as for their words, they will be close to the basin of water, and Sebastian's hand comes out and pulls Catherine until she drowns her. Kobe screams and is shocked by what is happening, especially since Catherine disappears before her eyes, and makes sure that everything she said was true. And you find Catherine in the bathtub, and she gets out of it, and Sebastian blooms for her, and he takes her inside the same box that he put inside him. Sandy fills him with water and closes it until it drowns, and she stays. Here they are, looking for information about the box they have, and they know that he was killed by a woman named Isabel, and they still lived inside her, and that she killed him because he raped her and she was pregnant from him. And she talks about him and describes him so that they know him more. Suddenly, Here you hear the sound of water coming from the bathroom, so you come closer and suddenly you look behind her and you find Sebastian Zard trying to be content and work with her as he did with her friends. Suddenly, a recording of the people you are talking to is playing, and this distracts Sebastian's attention. So you seize the opportunity and stay away from him, and she and her friend run to get out of the house. And as soon as they open the door, enters Kobe, and she is very afraid, and she tells them that she saw him. And you find him standing in front of her. She screams and gets out again, and he goes out after her here and locks the door, and they go to ride the Arabic. Kobe tells them about what happened to Catherine, and that she saw it with her own eyes, so they take them with them and go quickly to Isabel, who is in a psychiatric clinic, and there they warn them before they visit her that they have any flammable materials with them, because she tried more than once to ignite in the hospital. When he meets the 3 daughters of Isabel, they ask her about Sebastian, and Madison is surprised that she knows her by name. And she tells her that she is her mother and that he is her father, and that is why he is chasing her to take her, and Isabel breaks down and cries, and you know her that she tried to protect her a lot from her while she was in her stomach, and she grew fond of any place where it could bloom, because it comes out of the water and certainly will fear the fire, but he is still chasing after her. And the mother asks her friends to protect her and not leave her to him, and she loses control of herself and gets angry. So they come to nurses to calm her down. And they go out with their 2 companions, and she takes the key to her room without anyone taking care of it and leaves it with her, and then they go to ride the elevator. As soon as the door is closed, they feel water leaking from the ceiling. And they become very afraid, because they know that Sebastian will bloom for them from the water. And it really blooms in Swanee. And he pushes a cup of her leg. She keeps screaming and begging her friends for help, but they don't know how to do anything for her, and he takes and disappears, and Kobe finds herself in the bathtub in the same place, and she keeps calling for her friends to pick her up, and she notices that Catherine's chain is on the ground, and she goes down to get it, and suddenly he blooms behind her and wraps a chain around her neck, and he pulls it from her and drowns her, and at this time she is here in Arabic. You see pictures of Sebastian's house, which they found in the box, and you expect that all the girls who were kidnapped and raided his house will decide that they will go there to take my cup. Here, he pulls her by the leg and pulls her. So she screams and begs for help, and then she disappears and finds herself inside the bathroom in which he used to kill all his victims. And she approaches the bathtub, and suddenly she finds his hand grabbing her and throwing her into the bathtub, and she sees all her friends who disappeared and they are drowning. And then she comes out of the bathtub and finds her friend here locked inside the box that is full of fizz. Miyu screams and begs for help and tries to get her out in any way, but she doesn't know how much she can take out the box. But bacon. It's late, because here you stay, you died. And in this section, Sebastian blooms in a pager here on the ground. Madison begs him to let her say goodbye for the last time, and she begs him, and you call him Baba. He weakens despite his strength and frightening shape. And he leaves it, but he does not know that she is laughing at him and wants to kill him, and the fire burns without taking care of it, and throw it on his body, and you stay away from him, and you go to the bathtub. Suddenly, she finds a blossom, and he pulls her again, so you throw fire at him again, until you destroy it completely and it disappears, and then Madison gets out of the house after all her friends and tries to live her life again and forget what happened, for the first time. She goes out when it rains, and she is not afraid, and she decides to go to her mother, Isabel, in the hospital, and her mother tells her that the police were there, and they were asking about its owners who disappeared, so you tell her that they are all dead, and its salvation brought them their right and killed him, but she is shocked when her mother tells her that he will not die, and it is misunderstood, and her clothes will be dripping with rain, and then it appears behind her, and he calls me Isabel. So you run on her mother and try to protect her from him. And don't forget to subscribe to the Ladybug Synopsis channel.